So anyway, that's why I have been studying Leviticus. Because it says, do not mark your skin with tattoos. I am the Lord.
All right,
I mean, it's right there, black and white.
We'll see you guys later.
You know what else?
Matt Thornton is in the house with Casting Points. We are glad you guys are watching us today, where he has a tattoo for every occasion. And
is there a lightning rod in here?
There's a place for a tattoo and a tattoo for every place.
running out of room, running out of real estate.
I love it.
Do you have one artist or many?
I have one now. I've had the same one for like 4 years now. And I don't cheat on him. I'm very monogamous now with my tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, you get somebody you're confident with because you have to be confident.
Oh, yeah. I can't cheat on him either. I've gotten offers. I just can't.
Other people are like, please.
Yeah, no.
Please
DJ,
let me be my canvas.
I wouldn't break his heart. Couldn't do it.
Well, you're a beautiful tapestry.
Whatever tapestry means, is that good or bad?
I think it means like paper.
Oh, there you go. You gotta talk simple.
So all of these tattoos, you know all the tattoos you have, right? Obviously, duh. So when did you start with the art?
I started my 18th birthday. My dad wouldn't sign the permission slip, so I couldn't go to 17 when I was 17. So 18th, the day I turned 18.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got the bull symbol right here. My arm still there. You can see it.
Nice.
And then it just expanded from there.
And they all have meaning, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Every one of them is just something about how I was raised. Something about someone that influenced me growing up.
Sure.
So, yeah, I got portraits and all. I'm just full.
Yeah.
I tried to count not too long. It was over 100. So I just.
Woo. How many hours in the chair you think?
Whew. Oh, it's got to have been hundreds.
Oh my
It's been long. There's some.
That's why I tell my kids, I'm not anti-tattoo. I've got tattoos. And but I always tell them, just think.
Yeah.
Just think what you're going to put on because it needs to be meaningful.
Yep.
Something that's going to be meaningful now and 20 years from now, 30 years from now.
When it no longer looks like it needs to have meaning. My grandfather it was not long before he left this world, and he was in and out of consciousness. He was battling cancer, and my aunt and my dad and my sister and my little brother were sitting in the room with him, and he's out. They're like, oh, he's not going to wake up for a little bit. And they start looking at his arm. They're like, what is that? And they're like, is that a dog or is that a person riding a motorcycle? And he just goes, it's a cobra.
A cobra.
That was all he said.
Oh my gosh. It's probably on the old green shade. It's so old.
Gone.
So, Tim, what's your tattoo?
Mine is of a buck on my leg.
Is it multiple colors?
It is.
And I'm going to guess. I'm not going to guess. I know what it is. It's blue and orange for the Bears.
Sure. Or it could be shading.
Awesome.
That was the most awkward transaction right there. Like, what are you?
Totally unscripted, guys. Totally unscripted.
This? Yeah. No, I think it's important that you know what you're getting, why you're getting it. And I think another rule to follow is that dude that just got out of prison who says, hey, let me try this.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
No. My brother-in-law, that's his entire body.
Yeah.
His prison tattoos. And they're crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, head to toe, eyelids, everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's nuts.
I can't do face or head.
No.
And that's the money maker.
Can't.
You'd lose all your followers on TikTok.
So I say, I mean, you have to be careful because I'm the eye candy. I'm not very smart, and I don't have a whole lot of talents.
Amen.
Eye
Amen.
candy.
Yeah,
Eye candy, man.
Maybe not amen.
You look like a snack.
Right.
That's a full-blown meal right there. You see that, man?
So Matt Thornton, we're glad you're with us, man.
Thank you. I'm glad. You know I love you guys.
We haven't talked in, a long time.
It's been ages.
And, man, you're doing some incredible stuff with kids around the community. But let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. You grew up around this area, right?
Right down the street.
Yeah.
8th and Russell.
8th.
Right down here.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my spot that all of the trouble emanated from. Ground Zero.
Ground Zero, where it all started.
Oh yeah. Actually, my parents still live there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up here. I went to Harbor School until, well, obviously 8th grade after junior high. And that's when I went to Zion High School the summer before freshman year. I met all these kids from Zion, and I was a ball player. So after that, it was a wrap. I was never in Winthrop Harbor again.
Yeah.
I was in Zion every single day.
Balling
Never left
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, growing up, what was sports were a big part of your life
Oh, yeah,
then?
big time. Yeah, we were made to play sports, even when you didn't want to.
Yeah.
You had to. I was raised. Actually, my granddaddy was a huge baseball fan, and he made us all play when we were kids. My cousin ended up getting that I grew up playing with. He got drafted by the Astros. I like to say that I was almost as good as him. Probably a little quicker, a little more athletic, but his arm and his power was amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's just a bigger dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played with that all the way through adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basketball too, right?
Yeah, basketball too. I actually,
Your height had you on the basketball court.
yeah, because I'm just this massive presence there in the paint. Don't come in my lane. But yeah, baseball was probably my best sport, and then basketball, it was something that you could always do with the dudes from the neighborhood, and
Yeah,
they took
right.
care of me. They always protected me, and I was just always hooping. I was good at it too,
Right.
so I was really quick.
So I don't know about you because you might. Again, I'm not necessarily smartest, sharpest knife in the drawer. But sports were one way in which I literally got through school.
Yeah.
I think those types of things, for students such as myself, sports became a way to get through school.
Yeah.
Because there was this little thing that came out once a week called eligibility.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you didn't want to be on the ineligible
Sit
list.
on that. For me, when we were doing that, it was I was a terrible student. I didn't do homework. I was awful. I skipped school whenever I could. My GPA was probably below 2. It was awful, but it did. It kept if you get that D instead of the F,
Right.
and you have to it forced you to go to school and go to class. So
Yeah.
that's really the only thing that kept me in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mantra: D's get degrees.
Yeah. Remember that study session we did at Zion? You should have do if you weren't eligible, you had to go do that all week. It was terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have that. It was
Yeah, we
just-
had study sessions. Now they keep the kids with a C average or something like that. There's no way. I didn't never made
No
it.
way. No sports for me anymore,
No,
guys. I might as well drop out.
But yeah, they did help. I mean, that's fact. I tell a lot of kids that now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a motivating factor for many students,
Mm-hmm.
for many kids. Yeah.
Yep. That was actually my ultimate wish when I was a kid. When I was in junior high, probably 10, 11 years old, Zion had this really awesome basketball team. They went, Phil Judson was the coach, Lance Dowdell, Maurice White, just a legendary team. Dominique Brooks. I remember all their
Right.
names because I used to go watch them. And I'm like, man, I want to be out there. I want to have my name announced and come out one day.
Yeah.
So that was my dream, really, was to be on the Zion basketball team. And
It's fun.
Ended up being a starting point guard my senior year.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think that's important too. Is and I think it's important for kids to have those mentors or those people in front of them.
Yeah.
To give them a goal. I remember the same thing. You know, I had 2 older sisters, and sometimes they would be either in the band or they would be cheerleading or whatever. But I remember going to those football games and going, dude, that's something I want to do. You know, and it was that motivating factor to practice and practice hard and stay eligible and all those different things to be on the team and be good on the team. And
Yeah. I tell it to my athletes now. These little kids, they idolize you, right? All these little junior high kids that come and watch you, like, so be an example to them.
be a good model. Yeah. Role model. Yeah.
I was always in the tech crew, so no sports for me. So
No?
I was a nerd.
Don't worry, Joey.
Total nerd.
My parents ruined my sports dreams. I was a great baseball player.
Yeah?
I played 2 baseball games, and then their band had to tour or whatever, and that was it for me.
Did you get any hits?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I actually did get a hit in my first game, and I pitched an entire no hitter. I
Are
was
you-
like, bro, I'm
you're a
so good at
legend.
this. And
You're a legend.
I mean, I claim that
In
the
his
only
own
reason
mind.
is because I had to pee. That had to run me on his back all the way to the porta potty and back before I had to bat again. And I was like, Psh, baseball in the bag.
Too easy.
Too
And
easy.
natural.
I would be pitching in MLB right now. I know that.
I actually need some pitching.
MLB needs a lot of help. All right. Well, you know what, Joey, that's actually an important thing is because we talk about sports, but there's so many different activities. It seems like there used to be a lot more people doing band and drama and those kind of things, and now you see that just kind of slipping away. We've even noticed that around here. It used to be that we knew we had a crew coming up, like junior high and high school, and all the kids were playing and an instrument, wanted to play an instrument.
Yeah.
Now they want to play this.
Yeah, it's technology.
And it's tough to find a kid that actually wants to play an instrument of some sort. It's kind of sad because that was another way of keeping people engaged in community and with each other. And
Yep, it's really shocking nowadays. Kids don't even want to get their driver license when they're 16 anymore.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't.
No, yeah. I remember back in the day, it was like you were sitting at the driver's license place ready before it opened. Like,
You're camping
hello,
out. Like, it's my birthday. Let's go.
hello.
It's shocking how many kids don't even care.
And now you almost have to force your kid to go get it
They got
because
Uber,
I'm tired of driving you around, man.
Yeah, exactly. They got Uber and they got the game, so they don't need deals anymore.
Right. So growing up in this area, what was your growing up, like your junior high and high school years? I mean, who'd you hang out with? What was your life like in?
Oh, my life was,
Who'd you
like I
hang
said,
with?
I hung out with anyone that played sports from Zion. One of my best buddies lived on Hebron, 2400 block Hebron, before they tore it down. That's where I was at most days there, or we call it politically incorrect. There was a white center and a black center growing up.
Yeah.
We were always at either or.
Yeah.
And there, or any park, play for money,
Yeah.
play just anywhere to hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a little rebellious kid growing up. I didn't have that much guidance. There was some issues at my house, but I didn't have too much guidance in high school. So if I didn't have to, like I said, sports the only reason I had to go to school.
Right.
So that was kind of how it went. I didn't have any aspirations to do anything after high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never took an ACT. I had no interest in any of that stuff.
So did you get of course, now you're a policeman.
Yes.
I don't want to give away any secrets of your past, but I mean, did you get in? I mean, were you in any gangs or any trouble or any of that kind of stuff, or influenced by that?
Well, I was influenced
Because it was happening.
Oh yeah.
It was,
Yeah, little. In high school, it was just a lot of friends that we got in trouble and did silly stuff. But then after high school, I started hanging out with a lot more gang members and people just because who I met through family.
Yeah.
And that's just who I gravitated to. Hung out with them. I was never in a gang, but that's who I was with.
Sure.
Pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Because of my family. Because of just kind of we just connected. They love me. And I always felt they protected me.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I still love them.
Yeah.
Big time. They actually probably the reason I stayed alive.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. So after high school, what'd you end up doing then?
Oh, I didn't do anything. I was a bum. I ended up. I remember getting in trouble because my dad was on me. Like, you're not even working. You're 19. You finished high school. You don't even do anything. So I ended up just going to do menial jobs. I was kind of mad at life at that point. I had no idea what to do. So I was a very angry young man.
Yeah.
I ended up. I remember my brother brought home his first gun. My older brother. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I held it. We used to carry that thing all over the place. Right. So I ended up getting one. And I got caught with it illegally in my car one day. So then I thought, okay, right, I really don't have a future now because now I got a criminal record. And I just ended up working at a warehouse. I ended up getting my ex-wife pregnant, and I was making $10 an hour with a child and trying to just check to check. I was happy though. I didn't complain much. It was you don't know any different.
Yeah.
You just living the blue collar life. Didn't expect anything else ever out of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're working in a warehouse, making a little over minimum wage, trying to raise a family on that, which is You became a police officer. I want to
Yeah.
hear that. How did that? Oh my gosh!
Did I-
Like
did
That
I
sounds like
leave
the
out-
opposite
like-
of where the story was heading.
Did I leave out the part that my entire life up until then I hated the police? Didn't like them. I was rebellious. I didn't like nobody telling me what to do. To me, all cops were arrogant, racist, bullies. That was my really preconception of officers.
now, why do you think that was?
When I was in
when you
high
look
school.
back,
When I look back, the Rodney King thing happened when
Oh,
I was right
sure.
in the middle of my high
Oh,
school,
geez,
right when I
yeah.
was coming to adulthood.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, they can just beat up anybody and darn near kill them and get away with it. And a lot of that to create a lot of anger in me.
sure.
Yeah. So, I was just an angry young man. So carry all that into my adulthood when I had kids. I ended up having another kid. Got a little bit better of a job in a chemical plant. But then two of my buddies became police officers, and it just seemed like a fun job. Seemed like yeah, that was it. I'm like, well, you know what? It's better than coming in here.
You can
every
actually
day.
carry a gun legally.
It's my dream.
Yeah, so it was an upgrade in pay too. So
Right.
and I ended up testing because I was on them so much. I was getting on their nerves. They're like, dude, just go. Why don't you just go test? I know you got this gun charge, but it got pled down, so it wasn't a felony conviction. So that was one thing that actually saved me. But why don't you just test and see what it's like? And what worst they can do is fail you. So I went and I tested for right there, those guys on that cup there, Waukegan PD. There you go. Shout out to Waukegan, but not a shout out to Waukegan.
Yeah.
They didn't take me.
But they wish they had.
Boy,
Could have had the community changed.
So I actually
they bring merch.
Yeah.
When they show up, they bring merch. I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
they did this. That was a backdoor scheme by Waukegan. I still haven't forgotten.
Never forget.
So yeah, I did really well in their test. I was shocked because I wasn't the smartest guy, but I did. It was like 120 people on the list. They come out with a list, and I'm looking at this list, and they send it, and I'm like I don't remember, like 12 or 13.
Oh, wow.
On the top of like, wow, how did I'm a moron? How did I get this high? That's what I was thinking.
That's what you should have said. Oh.
So I ended up passing all their tests. They did all the interview process. They really came at me hard about the gun charge, about all the police contact growing up.
Sure.
About my family and who I was around. I had to explain. And they put me through the ringer, and I thought I had it. I remember the last interview, the detective told me I did really good. He said, I think we're going to hire you. And then maybe about a week later, I get this letter in the mail. It was due to further background checks, and we're going to let you go.
Oh.
So they didn't want me. That broke my heart.
Oh, yeah.
I know how you got so high on the test though.
How's that?
You probably like at each question you're like, would I do that? And if you said yes, you would do the opposite.
Yeah, it was the
Reverse
Yep,
psychology.
there you go. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, they let me go. I was like, I was never meant for me to be a cop anyway. That was just a silly thing I did, and
Pipe dream, yeah. Gone, here, gone. Yeah. Moving
but
on.
then maybe a month later, 2 months later, I saw an ad in the paper. Zion was testing. And people thought I was an idiot for even trying because at the time Zion's minimums were 3 and 1. The crime rate, the crime rate in Zion.
Right.
I actually don't know the crime rate in Zion.
It's pretty up there. Yeah.
I'm not surprised, actually. I lived there. I don't know why I said that. It's pretty bad.
I couldn't quote your numbers. I can quote you.
I don't know how to take
personal
that.
experiences.
I know that it was pretty high because I lived there.
No, I just didn't think about it. I'm like, oh, wait. Yeah. No, because right after, I always remember back to being a kid, right after we moved out of Zion, when we moved to Tennessee, and we were renting the house that we had here that we owned, somebody got shot right behind my house.
Oh wow! Where'd you live at?
Enoch Avenue, right up to 2 blocks from the park.
Like 2800 block.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was happening probably about 09, 2000.
Oh my gosh, the fact that you remember that.
I was there.
2805 Enoch Avenue. That was me.
Yeah, I was there for that. That was actually pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I was.
And I was like, oh yeah, of course I remember. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. So it was Zion was testing. I was like, let me do this one more time. And little did I know that guys that I played sports for, an old coach, he knew the mayor, he knew the chief of police, and I didn't find out this until after the fact. He had put in a good word for me. And I ended up passing. I was dead last on the list this time. I wasn't up top. Dead last on that list. Barely passed, and here we are.
Yeah.
and I had no clue what I was getting into. Not even the slightest clue. Didn't research, didn't know anything about policing. Just thought it was a cool job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to that. Sometimes you hear about law enforcement and agencies and things now, which are hurting for people anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Nobody wants to be a police officer right now. And I wouldn't. I mean, I tip my hat to anybody who wants to actually be in law enforcement right now. But back in the day, a lot of agencies were hiring from without.
Yeah.
But the guys who lived in town or were raised in that town, those are the guys that really care about the people, about the neighborhood. Not saying the people from outside can't, but I mean, that networking that you talked about, the mayor and somebody else who put in a good word for you. That's the type of hiring that gets the people in there that care.
I've been after the I run my mouth a lot, if you haven't noticed, in my social media stuff like that. I've been after policing to, like, they give you points you get points on the test. That's how you place. They give you points for military and for college graduation.
Right.
Which to me, both of them, they mean nothing in police work. Honestly, military maybe. With tactics and stuff, but I mean, 99% of police work is people skills and who you know.
It is.
But they don't give any points for homegrown officers. I think you should. If you went to this local high school, if you love this city, and you should get points for
grew up
being
here.
From
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Reputation points.
Yeah. Our best officers are the homegrown ones.
Yeah.
Period. So.
Yeah, it's a struggle out there right now. I mean, some of the things, I have several police officers and people that have been in administration and in law enforcement and stuff, man, it's just tough out there.
Yeah.
The
amount of we call it clapback that we've gotten from the streets. It started to get crazy after the Michael Brown thing.
Sure.
It went through the roof.
Yeah.
People became more brazen, less receptive to any authority whatsoever, more defiant. So.
And you've seen some, I've tried to explain this to even people that I know that have same attitudes that you had growing up, with the attitude of all cops are bad and jerks and I tell them, no, some are. You're right, some are, but the vast majority are not.
No,
They
exactly.
care. They want to do what's best for the people.
Yeah,
best
why
for the
else would
city.
they take the job?
Yeah.
It's not a glamorous job.
Yeah, I will say that there is a lot of things in policing that we can change, and I speak often about it. But everyone that's got a badge, like, I mean, they aren't afraid. Like they literally will take a bullet for anybody.
Yeah,
and I've never seen a cop, at least in my department, back down from anything, go slow to a crazy call, because we've had quite a few crazy ones, but they'll step up. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So you got to take your hat off to that.
Yeah. Running towards the emergency and step away from it,
Yep.
is the old saying, and I think that's important. To have those kind of people that care, and vast majority of officers that I know, as a matter of fact, all of them that I know are just great dudes.
Yeah.
Just great dudes. It's just, but it takes that one or two.
Yeah.
George Floyd, to make it just ruins it for a lot.
Yep.
The vast majority from that standpoint.
And there's a lot of stuff we got to clean up from the intern. A lot of mindsets that and I've seen a huge change in our PD.
Oh, sure.
Dude, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I think that's one thing that they're
20 years.
taking seriously now that they didn't take for a long time. It's just the mental health aspect. Because let's be honest, police officers, emergency services of all kinds, are dealing with things that the vast majority of people may see once or twice in their entire life, and they're dealing with it almost on a daily basis, at least a weekly basis, of stuff that we as a culture do a very good job of sweeping under the carpet, kind of hiding, not letting everybody see. And our emergency services are having to deal with that on a daily basis. So the PTSD, the emotional stress, and you know this as well as I do, that how we handle it many times, how we handle that type of stress, we don't handle it very well.
No, we
our
rarely
coping mechanisms. I always said that, and I was in law enforcement for 7.5 years, and I said our coping mechanisms were crude joking.
Yeah.
You'd leave a scene that was devastating, tragic, and one of the things that was a coping, and it sounds sick, is that you would have crude joking about it, and but it wasn't about that. It was about a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
alcohol or substance abuse, and sex. Those were like the top 3 things, and people abused them. They didn't use them correctly. They were abusing them, just trying to cope with the stress of the everyday job.
It's something that we never talked about.
Yeah.
It's crazy because nobody ever told me that. I didn't even know these statistics.
Well, you didn't talk about it.
Yeah, you weren't even allowed to.
You didn't talk about it.
It's almost like in the cop business. It's like monkey see, monkey do. The young rookies will look at who's been there long and they'll try to be just like them.
Right.
And if nobody steps in and says, we can't be like this anymore, it'll just keep going and going and going.
And I think more and more agencies are really seeing that and doing a concerted effort to solve that problem.
Yeah, we have to be intentional about it.
Have to be.
The statistics come out that nobody wants to talk about that I never learned until like 15 years of my career, or it was a while into my career that we do all this training for our bodies, but we know that we lose twice as many officers to suicide as we do to violence. That was a statistic nobody told me about for the first decade of my career. I was angry.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this not talked about?
Why are we talking about
this year?
It was the same thing with, I heard a statistic, and this was just recently, just in the last couple of months, I heard the same thing about people who returned from Afghanistan. We actually lost more soldiers to suicide than we did in Afghanistan. They came back.
That's insane.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? And we're not talking about it.
Yeah. I remember during my academy, I was trained 18 years ago, maybe a half-hour class about mental health. But hundreds of hours on how to protect your body, how to shoot, how to tase, how to self-defend your body, but nothing about your mind. And that's really being talked about now. It's a huge push, and I'll be glad to lead the charge. I was pretty angry, actually. Yeah, when I figured a lot of things out. So.
And I think what's coming out also is how to deal with a public that is, for lack of a better term, somewhat hostile.
Yeah.
Keeping your cool even if the cool isn't being kept. And I think there's a lot of good that's been coming out of that too. That I'm seeing some shifts in how policing is being handled with the public.
We have to change the way that a lot of the ways that we thought. If you look at the history, it kind of took a turn in the 60s and 70s into more military type of attitude, and I think that's, in my opinion, that's a detriment.
Yeah.
Well, look where it's gotten us.
But I think you're a great example of that in how you're doing that. I mean, because you're building a relationship with the community. You see it with the kids that you're working with, and we're going to get to that here in a second. But I think you're seeing more and more people doing what you're doing, what you're leading well in, is building that connection, building that bridge. That, hey, this guy isn't like what my mom and dad said, or what my buddies are saying. This guy's actually pretty cool and cares.
I've always taken that philosophy as a reason. After the Lord saved me, I took this philosophy that if you hate me, I'm gonna make you like me because I'm a likable dude. I'm lovable. I'm a fun dude, and I grew up in the same streets as you. That I wasn't doing the same stuff that you were doing.
Right.
So I almost am pretty intentional about it. It's like I don't care if you.
Well, I think you have to be, right? You have to be intentional about it. I would even go so far as to say it doesn't really come natural, because the natural thing is to fight back.
Yeah, to have an ego, and you're going to disrespect me, I'm going to disrespect you.
Exactly.
Back, so.
Yeah. And so it's learning how to cope and manage and be that person. Intentionality.
Yep.
It's
not always easy, but
yeah. So when you came on the police force, here you are. You're that kid. You're that baller.
Yeah.
And now you're on our police force. How do they receive you?
Not well. No.
What?
No, not at all. I had a rough. It was rough, man. I've had a long time to forgive and to try to take deep breaths about the way I was received. There was a lot of rumors about me. Nobody really wanted me there.
On the police force and in like your buddies on the street?
My buddies didn't like me. A lot of them turned their back on me too. It was rough.
So you were a man without a country.
I got threatened. I remember when I started, I got threatened. A dude that I knew for 20 years. I mean, he wasn't an angel. But I remember telling my little daughter, she's like 6 or 7. Hey, if your daddy tries to arrest him, I'm gonna shoot him. I told my daughter
what?
that. Yeah. And then I remember
so you arrested him? Did you arrest him?
Eventually, yeah. And nothing happened. I preach the gospel to him, actually. I arrested him. Now.
Yeah.
But I got my tires flattened. So I had a lot of heat. I had a family that I loved that always protected me.
Yeah.
They thought I was going to turn on them, so they turned their back on me. That was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I come to work at Zion, and the guys that all these rumors, he's the one who used to be, he's affiliated with this gang, and he's the dude with the gun charge, and they didn't want me there either. So it was a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being just feeling so lonely.
So, dude,
honestly.
you had stress compounded not only just from the job, but then
Yeah.
friends, family, coworkers.
That was a pretty rough time. Yeah,
Dude.
yeah, it was. 04, 05 was pretty bad for me, and
Why did you stay?
because it was like 3 times the money I was gonna make.
Yeah.
I really had this decision. Like, I didn't even like it at all at first. But what do? I got 2 small kids at home.
Did that affect how you policed? How you
No.
policed then versus how you police now? Is it different? Would you say it's different?
Well, there was a lot of things back then because I knew that I felt like they were looking at for a reason to be done with me. So you're in your first year of your career, you're on probation, so they can get rid of you for anything. So I had to like watch my P's and Q's, and it made you even more stressed out.
Sure.
But I've always been kind of this laid back guy, so I've never been heavy handed. I've never been aggressive or hateful towards anybody. If anything, I look at the neighborhood. I always looked like I'm still one of you guys. So that I think that helped me a lot.
Sure.
Because and I know everybody in Zion. Everybody knew me.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot easier.
It took some time for people to see, the
Yeah.
guy hasn't changed. He didn't turn into.
Yeah, that was hard. That was a hard hurdle to get over.
Sure.
Yeah, but and with the grace of God, like I can honestly tell you that anyone that had a beef with me back then because I was a cop, it's come full circle. Like,
Yeah.
they love me now. Yeah, so
It's because you're the cool kid now.
I guess that's what I like to tell myself.
The golden child.
Tell my daughter
You know what?
roast me.
There's a lot of changes though that take place through this guy Jesus Christ too.
Yes,
You know, and
say that again. Huh.
so tell us about that. There might be some people watching today that are listening today who haven't necessarily heard the Matt Thornton story.
Yeah. So
There's many parts of your story, but the stress and the things that were going on in your life came to a head one night.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember because it actually puts together everything we've talked about right now. My own feeling of isolation, the cop mental health thing. I didn't know what I was getting into. It all ended up, and I did exactly the 3 things that you said. I took up boozing. I took up being this local celebrity, egomaniac. I was always good on the job. I was ethical. I've never violated anybody's rights. I've never hurt anybody. I've always been solid in that, and morally on the job.
Right.
Off the job, I did everything immoral that you could possibly imagine, 10 times more than I wanted to be the number one scumbag in the PD.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about me. I just the sin that I gravitated toward. I guess I'm a competitor guy, so if I'm going to be this uber player type of dude with women, I wanted to outdo you times 100. So I did it. I tried to set the bar for hedonism, and it obviously through that and drinking, it wrecked my marriage. I was divorced 4 years into my career.
Yeah.
And that's hard. You try to block it out, and you try to just go keep doing the job, and keep living this phony facade of this Uber player that gets all these chicks and does all these funny, silly things. And
But you look back now, and again, we've talked about this, but all those things, it's a form of coping
yeah,
to feel, because you don't want to stop and you think about all the stuff either, right? Stress, and whether it's the job or off the job. So you're feeling that void. You're trying to fill that void
yeah, with everything
with everything.
Yeah, and it never fulfills, never. So eventually, like after it really sunk in that I really wrecked the family. That still bothers me to this day. My older kids can never apologize to them enough for what they had to see. But when all of that sets in, it just becomes this deep depression. I just describe it like a fog, this black fog that gets thicker and thicker and thicker because you never address it. And pretty soon you're just disenchanted with life. Like, man, I've ruined everything. Family's gone. What happened to that normal Matt that drove a fork truck? That's what I used to think. Like, how did this go so bad? So So then pretty much you come up with a plan to take the pain away permanently, and which is what I did. The first time I got caught, I got turned in when I used to take this really, really bad concoction just to fall asleep, because you could never sleep. When you're that depressed and you're that stressed with life, you could never sleep.
You don't want to sleep.
Yeah. And you work midnights. Yeah. And I remember I used to take this thing. I was pretty much addicted to them, Ambien, antidepressants, painkillers, because I boxed and played football. And just to get some sleep, I would just wash all that out with NyQuil. Mm-hmm. That was a routine every day. Just get 4 or 5 hours. And I got caught one time because I was staying with this girl, and I used to practice. I didn't want to be here anymore, so I used to practice. If I was going to kill myself, how would I do it? And I had a little Kel-Tec, and I had my duty weapon, and I would practice, just envisioning, like, okay, this would be how it would be if this were eventually when this happened. So I remember I took that concoction, and I fell asleep with a gun right here, and she came in, and I got turned in. Mm. And the chief really didn't. I love him to death. How he addressed it was, okay, I'm going to take your gun and badge. So you take Matt's identity even further. And I think we faked a back injury. And they sent me to go get treatment. And God bless them, all worldly, psychological, why am I the way I am? No heart treatment, no real.
Right.
And I knew exactly what to say to them to get my back.
Playing the game.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fine. It was this, it was that. I'm okay now. So once I got my badge back, probably about a month or two later, that's when I knew that, you know what, nothing has changed. Now they're going to find out that I really am losing my marbles. And so I'm just going to end it. And that was when I decided to write out I wrote out a really graphic suicide letter on an iPad too. iPad 2.
Oh, yeah.
Mama bought me one of those. Yeah. She bought me that for Christmas. So I pulled over to the side of the road one night. I typed it out. And it's funny. I remember what I wrote in there. Because as far away from, I knew God existed somewhere because my mom used to play, and my grandma, her daddy was a Baptist minister, and she taught us about Jesus. So I was taught all the head knowledge about the Lord.
So you had some knowledge of who God was or who Jesus was.
Absolutely. If you were to ask me back then, I had 15 girlfriends and half of them were married, but I would tell you to your face, oh yeah, my sins are forgiven. Christ died for me and rose again, and I'm good.
Yeah.
So I knew everything head-wise.
Right.
But I had no idea who Jesus was. Yeah. And so I remember writing that letter. I remember the song. I told them to play a Keith Green song because my mom always listened to that growing up. I hated it, but I just knew that that was supposed to mean something to her, I guess. And then that one song, I Can Only Imagine. I remember that.
Yeah.
That song touched me. Even when I didn't even know the Lord, it still did something to me. I told him to dress me in a Cub outfit. It was really, really direct.
Very detailed.
Yeah, very detailed. Who I hated, who I didn't want no police there. They were the ones who ruined me. So I put specifically no blue. They better not come with no bagpipes. I don't want any cops at my funeral. So that was how I was going out.
So incredibly meticulous.
Yeah, it was big time. And so I have this ready. And I'm dwelling on this plan. There was some triggers that was going to put me over the top. Because I still had some destruction, some havoc to wreak. Mm-hmm. And a little bit later, I don't remember the exact time frame. It wasn't very long afterwards. I went out and I would dwell on this plan. I had this plan, this really detailed plan. I was going to wrap towels around my head and put them around my body. I don't know why. It just, to me, a clean crime scene would be something and that way my brother wouldn't have to be the one to find me like that, because I've been to suicides and it's really traumatic for the family that finds them. So I'm like, this would be clean for him, and because I lived with him at the time.
Right.
Have this all planned out. I'm in my car, just dwelling on this, crying to myself, because when you're in that state, you cry. Whenever you're alone, you just cry. Yeah. So I'm crying in my car, and winter night 2013. Had to been below zero. The wind is just ridiculous. This wind is just so bad.
Right.
It was 2 a.m. I'm working midnights. So I go into the Walmart parking lot, and I park on that pharmacy side so nobody will bother me. That's not even open that time of night. They close it at like 10 p.m. So I'm way over here, so I know nobody's going to bother me. I'm just sitting there crying and going over this. And I see this lady walk out of Walmart. And it was crazy because it was so cold. And like, why are you outside? She goes to a car. And she grabbed something in a car. She's still way over there. And I remember looking at her hair was sideways. Mexican, her hair was literally sideways as the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
It's a little longer than the man's beautiful locks. A little bit longer.
Thanks, buddy.
But it was like sideways. Like, why are you out here? So, of course, she sees me, makes a beeline right towards my squad, and I'm just get instantly raged. Like, leave me alone.
Right.
Like, what do you want at this time of night? So now I got to wipe my tears away and got to deal with whatever she's got. So she comes up, and I roll my window down because it was so cold. I didn't roll it down all the way. I was rude. And then she reaches her hand in and she hands me something, and she said, "You need this." And then she walked away and didn't say another word. And I look at what she gave me, and it was red, like your shirt. The red bracelet, handcrafted, and it had this cross on it. And it was bizarre. It was the most surreal thing that I've ever experienced in my life. Just because I mean, just the magnitude hit me. It took a second. Like, I'm literally going over this plan to blow my own head off, and at the lower than I've ever been. And this happens on the most unlikely night, and it wasn't even a second thought. That's God. Like, God, you're here. You're doing something. What are you doing? I like audibly screamed out in my car, and I didn't tell this story for about a year because I thought people would think I was crazy or I was making it up. But I remember literally hearing and feeling the Lord right with me. And I got this crazy sense, I don't even know how to explain it in words, that Jesus told me that he's seen every single thing that I've ever done. And man, that's a lot of sin. But he said I'll forgive you. Stop what you're doing and follow me. It's literally the words I heard. And I never felt that safe. I've never felt that safe. It was just this weird feeling of being in the arms of something that you can't really explain. A peace. Something so real that it was mind blowing to me. And so I get on the phone. First of all, I cried for probably the rest of the shift because I was just blown away and shocked, and I just knew that there was something. My life was going to change at that moment. Like, I was never turning back. I knew that was God, and it was just so undeniable. So I cried a lot. I went to, I think I parked in a cemetery and just sat there all night. And then when the sun came up, I gave my sister a call and I said, "Hey, you work at this church?" I knew she worked at a church.
Right.
So it was Wesley and on Beach and Lewis there.
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't know who your pastor is, but I need to get in there." And had no clue who he was, Pastor George. And I went in there the next day, and I will never forget the words he told me. It was almost as surreal as the car, because he said, "I know exactly who you are and what you've been up to." And I was like, how do you know me? I don't know who you are. Right. He said, "Your sister has been crying, begging us to pray for you." And he said, "We in this church have been praying for a supernatural occurrence to happen in your life." And I just was, someone's like, I almost got faint. I'm like, well, I think you got your prayer answered. And still didn't tell him all the details about everything. But I gave my life to the Lord, like officially, if you want to call it that. Prayed, and he explained salvation to me, and like true salvation, both head and heart. And I would equate it to just in Ezekiel where it talks about your heart of stone turns a heart of flesh. That was when I got a flesh heart. Mm-hmm. And I've been a follower of Christ through thick and thin ever since.
It's just amazing. I hear this story, and I've heard you say it, give your testimony a few times, and it never loses its impact. And I love those words. When you say, some of the most impactful words that you say is, I've known what you've done. And to me, that's just Jesus saying, I know you.
That, I get so emotional.
I know you, and
that draws me to tears every time, because I know what I've done in my life, and to know that he still wants me in his family, and it's mind blowing, man. Mm. I will never fully comprehend that with my human brain. The amount of grace, I'm just grateful. That's it.
But I think that speaks, and I hope people are listening right now, that I think that speaks to all of our human nature, where we get to a point maybe that we want to believe there's a God. We want to believe that there is a truth. We want to believe that there is something greater than we are. And yet we look at our lives and go, if there is, we've gone so far away.
Yeah.
We've moved so far away from this that how on earth, how in heaven, how in this cosmos could this God or whatever love me? Right? And yet he still looks at us and goes, I know you.
Yeah.
I know, and I love you. And the interesting thing is he doesn't say, well, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to keep doing what you're doing, because it seems to be working really well.
Yeah. That's right? That's a big part.
But he does say, stop, just stop. Come to me, work for me. And I'm here with you. No matter how far away you've moved, he's there. I love that.
That's we get that grace so screwed up too, and especially in modern times. Like, Christ didn't tell me, okay, we'll go do this step, this step, and that. Yeah. He hugged me, and said, "Come on." And that's the mind blowing part of it. Yeah.
And look how sometimes we can convolute things and make things more difficult, right? For ourselves or for others. Mm-hmm. To see this grace, this Jesus, and yours was a door that cracked open that far.
Yeah.
It was a cross on a piece of string.
Yeah.
That door at that moment was cracked open a hair, and Jesus walked through it. And I think that can speak to so many people that, all you have to do is take a chance. Just look. He's right there.
Just crack the door a little bit. His foot's really strong.
Yeah.
you ain't got to go
He can
nowhere.
open it the rest of the way. Yeah. Just open it a little.
That's just amazing. I just love that part.
I kind of used the lady in the parking lot as an example too. Like, she did a deed. She had no idea what she was doing. She had no idea that she was changing life. She did something nice that she thought would be a sweet gesture towards a person. I ended up tracking her down too.
Yeah, I think that's an important part. No, and I want to hear this story on tracking her down, because I didn't know this. But I think that's an important part for people also to go. Never overlook an opportunity.
Yeah.
It may sound like the craziest thing. I'm supposed to go out in this windstorm and get this little trinkety thing out of my car and go give it to this dude.
Yeah.
Jesus does that little tug, and you're like, "What? Why? It's not going to make that big of a
Yeah,
difference."
should I turn? Why do I need to turn the car around?
There,
Why do
be
I
fine.
walk across the street, or why do I need to? And it could be just that little thing that saves someone's life.
Yeah, cascades into a snowball effect of so many other lives being changed, and I think you're a great example of that.
Yeah.
And she didn't. She did something very simple. The Holy Spirit's actually does the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's not saying go break down the philosophies and go tell them what the Hebrew means of the Beatitudes, and he's not telling you to do like all she did was do a simple thing, and the Lord did the rest.
Right.
And I think we get this attitude in loving and evangelizing the people that we have to say all this stuff and be so schooled, like just love people.
Yeah, and just like Schindler's List, the movie about World War II and trying to save the Jews from being exterminated by like acquiring the Jews. In the movie, at the very end, it's like, if I would have just done this, I could have got one more. Like if I would have just sold my ring. And like in this moment, it's like I think of myself, like how many Matt Thorntons could I have saved if I would have just stepped up in my faith and gone out and talked to someone, or just like given a little card, given a little cross, or just saying, Jesus he's telling me that I need to pray for you. Like how many times have I said no to that and missed out on an opportunity?
And we're all good at that. We're all good, like,
and luckily his grace covers that also. But the ripple effect, I think that's what Matt was. I use it as in terms of the ripple effect of one drop creates tremendous ripples, and so this woman,
you
didn't know who it was for a long time, right?
I knew who she was. I had seen her working in the back of Walmart before. I didn't know her name. I just knew that she did work there, but that was it. I ended up having to go asking another employee. I didn't want to tell her what she did right away. It took a while for me to go track her down.
Yeah.
So I found out who she was, and actually brought her to a speaking engagement one time. Because people were saying, "Oh, there's an angel. It was this," and I was like, "No, she's real." So I asked her. Marina doesn't speak that good of English, so it was very simple. I asked her, "Why did you do that?" And her simple response was, "I don't know. God just told me to go out there and do it." So she really didn't know.
Yeah.
And we actually brought her.
But it goes back to what you were saying. The Holy Spirit prompted her.
Yep.
It was that simple prompting.
Mm-hmm. And then I remember because it was so cool, and we'll get to the story about MFB, right?
Yeah.
About how that came to be. Because I ended up bringing her. They did a what do they call it? Documentary. I had these producers from California. They came and followed me, and they rode in my car, and and it ended up. They were about, I think, 4 days.
Okay.
And then they ended up at MFB. But little did I know, I didn't know they tracked her down themselves. And they surprised me by bringing her to MFB. She'd never been there, and I basically brought her in to say, "Look what you did."
Yeah.
And she was a part, like everything that's been started.
That ripple effect.
Yeah.
That ripple.
I never would imagined, like, literally, this story's been on national TV.
Yeah, and she didn't know.
Yeah. No idea what she was doing.
That's what makes it weirder.
Yeah. That's just like, man, God, how awesome are you?
Yeah.
Well, we say it all the time that you might not see the effects of what you do, or you might not see the reward of following Jesus. And she's an example of not having any clue what Jesus is doing in the background at all.
And I think that's a testimony to the fact that, we're not promised to see the manifestation of what the Holy Spirit's going to do when we're obedient.
Yeah.
We're not made that promise. But it's cool when we do. It's awesome to see, look at what God was able to accomplish in somebody else's lives, or all these lives, from just a simple act of obedience,
Exactly. And
but we're just called to be obedient.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear your name all the time in the streets of Zion. Right? I hear your name once a week. Somebody that knew you or have heard your message or just knows who you are. And you don't even know.
Right. Right. So, MFB.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So how'd that come to be? Because we're kind of circling back to it because of the conversation about the woman who brought you what is her name again?
Marina.
Okay, Maria.
Marina, like what we say,
Marina?
Marina. Yep, to say it properly.
I can't.
Like the Harbor Marina.
Don't ask you to say it properly.
Yeah, were you back a boated?
Marina.
Marina.
Yes.
Marina.
I love her to death. I still talk to her a lot.
I love that. I love it. So anyway, MFB.
So yeah, I ended up following the pastor. I was like a little pest to the pastor for about 7-8 months. I would go where he went. I'd be in there all the time. I wanted to know. I'm a investigator by heart. So this guy that showed up in this parking lot.
Well, you're an investigator, but you're also that type of guy that's all in whatever you do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just your nature. It's just your character. Yeah.
I want to do it. I would say I do it Godzilla, like big.
Yeah.
I do it big. I do the biggest. I do the most. Which is bad too. That's not all good. That's
Right.
not always good.
Yeah.
It's a pendulum.
Yeah. Let's go to White Castle and get a whole brave case.
So I ended up following him, and I wanted to know. Like this happened to me. Like it was like getting hit by a Mack truck, and I was never going to be the same. Who is this God? Why does he allow, or why did I allow myself, or whatever? I just had every question. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why do we believe in Jesus? Why did he die? Why does he love me? And so I just followed him and was relentless with just trying to gain knowledge.
Yeah.
And then he was eventually
And how many times did he go, dude, I don't know?
yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. How many times did he's like, Matt, stop bothering me. Leave me alone for once. So I'd say about a year after this, he said, you know so many people in Zion. Why don't you start invite some kids and start a little youth group? I'm like, Pastor, I don't want to do all that. No way.
Right.
I don't know how to teach kids. I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. I have kids. I have other things to do. I'm a busy cop. So just to get them off my back, I did it 1 week. My son was a freshman in high school.
What a mistake.
Yes. My son was a freshman in high school. Yeah. So they have basketball courts at this gym. And I'm like, okay, come and you guys can play ball and I'll buy you pizza. 2 pizzas, Little Caesars. $10 it cost me. And I'll read some verses because I don't know how to really tell kids about the Lord yet. I really don't even know how to hold what he would call it a devotional. Or like
Right.
And so we did that. I read him a couple scripture verses, I guess, and then called it a night. So the next...
Out of Leviticus.
Yeah. Still have no idea what I was saying.
Tattoos are evil.
I bet it was like Luke 11:38. Jesus wept. Okay, everyone go back.
Everybody go.
Done.
Two words.
So the next week, I did it one more week. Like 10 kids came, they played again, same type of thing. Then the next week, I said, Pastor, all right, they still want to come, but I kind of got something to do. And he wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me.
Lying.
No, you don't.
He's like, man.
The Lord has told me you are lying.
He said, remember what a pain in the butt you've been to me the last year of my life? You're going to do this. So he pretty much he wouldn't take a no for an answer. Yeah. So I ended up doing it. I saw it through. And 3-4 months in, there was so many kids in there. The word got around Zion Benton, and that there was this cop that opened up a gym. So pretty much it was kids coming. There was so many. I was remember paying for that out of my own pocket. Oh my gosh, that pizza bill went from $10 to a couple hundred every week. It was bad. And so yeah, that's how it all started. And then my sister, I had to drag her in. Like, I can't handle all these kids. It's just me.
Right.
So she came in, and we ended up calling it an official name, Our Father's Business. It came from a song by a Christian hip-hop artist named Fizzle. I was listening to that because I didn't have any music. When I first became a Christian, I didn't have any music.
Yeah,
I didn't know Christians had any music that I could listen besides Keith Green that my mom tortured me with my whole life. So that and B.J. Thomas. So I'm like, I didn't have any
There
music.
is no Christian Metallica.
Yeah, no,
What
exactly.
the heck?
Exactly. I tried to find the Lord in Metallica.
no.
I just couldn't.
Oh no.
So I ended up finding Lecrae and some Christian hip. I was like, oh, these guys are pretty talented. We'll go with some of them. So I tried to listen to them. It was a song that Thizzle said, I'm about my father's business. So I just said it was, okay, we'll call it that. My sister came up with a logo and became like an official group.
Right.
And I can't even tell you how much it exploded. It's been insane.
Well, you have a tremendous amount of volunteer. The volunteer base.
Yeah, the team that we have.
Crazy.
It's
awesome.
built up. Oh my gosh, my team. Those guys.
And they're from all over the place.
Yeah.
They're just.
Yeah, we got school teachers, we got entrepreneurs, we got real estate guys, we got stay-at-home moms. We run the gamut.
Yeah.
And they just love the kids. It takes a lot of thick skin.
Yeah, because you're reaching in. Let's just admit it. You're reaching an interesting culture.
Yeah. Well, it turned out
dynamic.
It started off in the high school,
Yeah.
but word spread around the neighborhood. So we started having more and more kids that I'm very familiar with on the street show up. A lot of them didn't even know it was run by me. Yeah. A lot of them would come in and say, "Oh, shoot, that's 12. I'm not shaking his hand." So that's kind of how it started. It was some awkward moments at first.
Yeah.
But as soon as we got established, I mean, we turned out to be most of our kids that might be out doing other things on a Friday night that aren't within the law.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've had some of those dangerous kids that I've learned are the ones I love the most.
Yeah. And these kids that you're dealing with, because, there might be people here watching from all over the place. But here in Zion, I mean, let's admit it, there's a lot of gang activity. There's a lot of violence.
Yep.
With the youth.
Yeah, we started people are
and you're reaching these people.
Yeah.
You're reaching these kids, these young adults, and that's awesome, dude.
When I state the numbers, because everyone sees that Zion is like a little small town, they'll Google it. Oh, that's just a small town of 24,000 people or whatever. But I spit the statistics since 2017. We started keeping track. I don't keep track anymore because it was just too depressing. Since 2017, we've had between 35 and 40 of our kids get shot in our little group.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to 13 that have died. Yeah. And yeah, I mean that's our small little city. Yeah. And that's just, it's too much. And from 1 week to the next, you might not see this kid again. So that makes the gospel message even more important.
Yeah.
And we don't turn.
And you're doing that every week.
Yeah,
they're hearing it every week.
They understand death. Our kids do. And that's one thing you don't have to pull punches about. And you can get their attention. Yeah. And when I readily try to address the first death and the second death, and you can tell the kids that tune you right out because mostly probably they're afraid, or they just don't want to hear. They just want to get it over with and let's eat and play ball. Right. But the ones where you catch the most unlikely eyes and they're like staring at you, and you can see this resonating. It's beautiful. Yeah. And then when they come full circle and we get to baptize them and they give their life to the Lord, it's amazing.
It's that ripple effect.
Oh my gosh!
And who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, I know. I always tell them we're just planting seeds here. You guys might not remember a word I say until you're 80 years old, but it's going to come.
But
to
that
life.
seed has been planted.
Yeah, that's why the word is the living word. It's growing. It was living in me for a long time through all that debauchery. Yeah. It was crazy when you become saved. All that stuff that I learned. That my mom tortured me with, all them Keith Green lyrics. I actually remembered every one of them.
Now Keith Green is in the back of his head.
Yeah, I got a tattoo of him, by the way. Now,
did you really? No way.
I have it. Keith Green, Melody. If you're watching this, I had the coolest tattoo of the ministry years photo album.
Or
the album cover.
That's awesome. Actually.
Never realized how intense.
You should start playing some of that on Wednesday nights.
We do actually do to clear the gym.
Really?
Oh yeah, to clear the gym.
It's time to go.
Clear the gym.
That's a Zach Smoley idea. We play Keith on the big speaker. When you hear that piano kicking in,
time to go.
Oh yeah,
that's
this place ain't cool anymore.
Oh man. Well, the work that you guys are doing, and I give a huge shout out to the volunteers because you're right. You're working with kids that, all kids need Jesus, obviously, and they need to hear about Jesus. But man, you're working with those who aren't necessarily the easiest in the world because a lot of them are probably growing up without parents.
Yeah, most of our kids are fatherless.
Yeah. And struggling through life, and maybe they've known is the streets, and and so you're bringing hope.
Yeah.
And it probably isn't always the easiest.
Some might call them the least of these.
Yeah. To me, they're my heroes.
Yeah.
I love my kids. I know, because being a detective in the city, I know every family, basically. Yeah. I know where every one of these kids comes from.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier, is that I think that's making the impact. Mm-hmm. That you're still a police officer. Mm-hmm. You're doing this on Wednesday nights.
Well, Friday.
And they know, Friday nights. Was it ever on Wednesday nights?
No.
That's why I said Friday nights.
Yep, Friday.
Friday nights. And
days blend in.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just old. So you're doing this on Friday nights, but they're seeing you on the streets.
Yeah.
It's all the other nights. Mm-hmm. And they know that you're the same guy.
Yep.
inside and out.
Yep.
And I think that's making a huge impact. Huge impact.
It's helped a lot. It really has, in a practical sense too.
Yeah.
On the street, like they see it as me. They know that there's not going to be anything that they can construe as a conspiracy against them. They know it's going to be fair. They know it's going to be just because they know me. I'd lay my life down for any of them, and they know it.
Right.
I love them. They know. We say it every week. I tell you guys how much I love them, and I've had to do a lot of heartbreaking things because I've had to arrest a lot of my kids. I've had to identify a lot of my kids, but they know. There's never been any backlash because they know I love them,
Right.
and that's helped so much on the street. It really has.
That's got to be tough in that position too, though.
The worst. It's rough. Go home and cry quite a bit. But
Yeah.
That's part of the cross, I guess, that I bear.
It is, because the people that you work with, because your work as a police officer is vitally important.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But the work that you're doing on Friday night and the work that you're doing with these kids supersedes even what you're doing as a police officer.
So that's my real job.
And you become these people that you're with and you're working with become, like you said, your family.
Yeah.
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 And it's tough.
It's
When you have to make those hard calls with your family.
It's the coolest dynamic when you see some of our.
But the change that
my gosh, I always say that we've seen the change in so many lives.
Yeah.
So I get all these cops ribbing me because there'll be a kid. Our shirts are everywhere all over the city, so they'll arrest one with our shirt or our hat on, and they say, "Oh, well, I thought you were teaching them." So they say, "Oh," they'll always call out a name when they arrest. They're just joking with me.
Right.
But I said, "You know how many kids you don't know because of the work the team has done?" It's really mind-boggling.
Again, we'll go back to that ripple effect. How many kids haven't you arrested because of what's going on?
That's the way I got to look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it. Yeah, some will disappoint you. The failure rate gets
It's going to
high.
happen.
But yeah, we give them the word. Now we're able to, because we got so much awareness and we got lucky. And I give credit to the Lord that when NBC came and did a special on us, and that had been 2016, or maybe 2015. It was one of them years. But I still don't know how they found out about us. I have no clue. They just came one night, and that was when things kind of got out of control with local support and even support from national support. And we were able to do a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Get them in school, bring in teams to have resumes made, get them jobs, help them pay fees to walk the stage, help them. If your lights are out, we can help you out with that and get resources for them, because it's been really, really cool.
That's huge.
It changes lives.
Yep.
It changes lives. The gospel changes lives from now through eternity, but what you're doing is you're also helping them with life here on this earth. It's going to
This side of eternity.
this side of eternity. It's going to impact generations. It'll impact generations.
And sometimes it's, and I look in a mirror and it's like I'm still just that same moron that I always was. I give credit to the Lord.
I understand that. I really do. But it goes back to what you said earlier. That's the power of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a reliance on the Holy Spirit and what He does when we're simply obedient to His calling.
Yep. And you know what's crazy is that my stress levels and all the pain and that was going through my depression and back in the day, it's probably gotten worse. Matter of fact, it has gotten worse.
Yeah.
The level, the amount of pressure.
Speak to that, though. Speak to that, because I think that's interesting. I think that's what people need to hear. Because some people would argue, well, you've got Jesus.
Yeah. And then you right off into
How are you still
sunset,
depressed,
right?
man?
Yeah. You're right off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And everything gets good and everything goes your way. Actually, it's the opposite because I love more people, so my heart gets broken more. I have to deal with people that I actually have been so intimate with and to losing. I don't know how many funerals we've paid for and how many kids come to me or they'll be mad at me because I couldn't get them out of this gun charge or I couldn't. So my stress levels are way worse than they were.
Yeah.
But I know how to sustain through them.
Yeah. There you go.
And
there you go.
That's sad. It's right in Philippians, a peace that I don't even comprehend sometimes.
Passes all understanding.
Yeah.
It's a supernatural peace. The only way to describe it is, hey, have you ever experienced it? And they're either going to go, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I can't tell you about it.
Right.
Yeah. Can't
And
tell you.
We had somebody on several episodes back who was talking about depression and the fact that she had a moment where God just shook her world. got our attention. Kind of like what you were talking about. There was just that one moment, but she also came back and said, but if I told you that the depression was all gone, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
It's still there, but how I'm able to manage it now versus before Christ is completely different. It's completely different.
You look at it differently.
Yeah.
And you feed it with divine word. You feed it with a supernatural power. You don't feed it with booze and sin anymore.
Right.
So that makes all the difference in the world. But yeah, I read a lot about, to me, I don't know, I'm not a theologian, but when I read the Psalms, I see David going through the same thing. Like, he's down here. Why are you so downcast, my spirit?
Up
And then
and
he's
down,
up here.
up and down, up and down.
I look at it as kind of
Psalms
like
is just
it's
like,
yeah.
That whole thing is a roller coaster.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. So, do me a favor. If somebody's watching today and maybe they're in that same pattern that you were in before you got that cross, where the Holy Spirit shook your world. If there was somebody out there today and they were in that same position, they've been thinking about it for a while, they haven't gotten to the point where they're ready to pull that trigger, whatever, what do you say to them today?
I would tell them that there's nothing that the Lord can't fix. I would tell him that there's nothing that he won't send somebody to help you fix. There's people out there that he will send. That the Lord doesn't come and whisper in everybody's ear. He sends people. Yeah. And there's a reason he'll send people he can send them via internet now. Like there's nothing that he can't fix. And he made the universe just by speaking. So your little depression and helping you getting through is nothing to him.
Right.
You have to look to when you're feeling hopeless, you have to look to the author of hope. And that was what I missed for so long.
Yeah.
And I get guilt. I get like survivor's guilt. But there are practical ways, but there's the real only way to really be clean of this is through the Holy Spirit and through Christ, and reach out and talk about this stuff often. Do not hold it in. Satan operates in the dark. If you hold this in, it's going to fester. It's going to come out crookedly. Talk about it often. Yeah. Talk about how broken you are. Isn't that the coolest thing, though, about being a Christian and knowing the Lord is we can openly, like, man, I'm a messed up dude. It's just you have this reverence because it's a weird backward type of thing that he actually is he forgave me of all of this stuff. Yeah. I can openly say it.
Yeah, I think most people, when you get into that depression, when you get into that, that place where you're just so hopeless, you almost feel like nobody would understand.
Yeah.
Nobody's been through what I've been through. Nobody's experienced what I've experienced. Yeah. And I think one of the things about being open and if you will, use that word confession, if you start talking about it, what you realize is, oh my gosh, man, others have been through this.
Wow, I'm not special.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not special.
Exactly.
But yeah, in a real way that, man, there's been a lot of people that have been through this, And
if you could join forces and like let's go arm in arm.
Yeah.
You're depressed. So do I. So let's talk about it. Yeah. And that
you've messed up.
Much.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of hypocrites here.
And you don't have to go like fix yourself. Like who would think like you would go to the doctor's office? Like you only go when you're not sick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, then you're fine. Like you wouldn't go to the doctor. You only go when you're sick when you go to the doctor. But if you must wait for yourself to get better to go to the doctor, it just doesn't make sense. In the same regards, you wouldn't go to church just to be like, oh, well, I got to fix myself before I go to the church because if I don't, then I'll just burn through the thresholds or not thresholds. But but no.
I think Jesus said something about that.
May have a time or two. He will meet you where you're at.
Yeah, and by the church, we're just talking about people.
Absolutely,
and because the church is the people, it's not a building, and even if you're watching today and you're just like, I don't know who to reach out to, reach out on this, put a comment, reach out to myself, Matt, Joey, anybody, just reach out to somebody that has a relationship with Jesus, and if you don't know somebody that has a relationship with Jesus, it's gonna sound strange. Reach out to Jesus.
Yeah, he's there. You don't have to go far.
He's there. As crazy as it may sound, he's there. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a rough thing. The sadness and you still your depression is a hard thing to kick. But once you do and you understand and you know how to sustain it,
depression seems less depressing.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's really interesting as we talk to you. There's been a kind of a common thread through since we started these podcasts that even you talked about today from the standpoint of, man, my life was here and here and here and here and here. And I guess I'm going to ask this question: when you look back, even before that amazing thing that took place in the Walmart parking lot, God was around you. You probably didn't see it, probably didn't want to see it, but would you say that God was working in your life even before you knew it?
Oh, absolutely. I could feel him getting closer and closer. I was still resistant.
Yeah.
Small, crazy ways.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. You know he's there.
Yeah.
It's in your head. It's ingrained in all of our spirits. So the worst part for me, if I can speak personally, was when I would lay in my bed and look at the ceiling. It's just me. I knew God was there, and I knew I was in big trouble because I resisted him with everything I had.
Yeah.
When you realize he's there and he's not there pointing his finger at you to condemn you, he's there saying, come on, come to me.
Right.
My yoke is easy.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's that compassionate side of God that I think sometimes people miss, where he's just like, no, really, seriously, come on, I'm right here. What I have for you can change your life.
Yep.
You know, and I think there was the common thread that I've seen through all these podcasts are the people that said, my life, when you look at my life, oh my gosh, but God kept me from X, Y, and Z.
Oh yeah.
God kept me from falling into this or falling into that, or and I knew that he was there. I didn't know it at the time, but I look back now and go, man, was God there? Was God
so
there?
Many crazy
God was here,
situations,
you know, and it's just amazing to see God work in our lives. Even when we are denying him, that God is still wanting us, just there with us, and that compassionate God, gracious God that's there.
It's still hard for me to wrap my head around grace. His grace. It's crazy. It's hard to comprehend.
It is, especially especially if you grew up in a church that more fixated on the laws, the rites, the rituals, the whatever, the rules. And then you start hearing about grace and you go, okay, where's the balance?
Where's the balance
In this? And you still try to figure that tension out many times. Who Jesus was full of truth and full of grace, you know, and we're sitting here going, I can't even balance the two.
Pick one.
My little 3-pound brain's been battered too much to even try to balance that.
Right. Oh, man. Well, we're glad you're here, man.
Oh,
you're doing so much for this community, and I was excited to get you here and talk and share your story. And
you guys have been so instrumental to MFB here. Like there's that launching pad. That was one of our major launchings when you guys let us do the concert.
Oh, that was fun.
Gosh,
that was fun.
Sad I missed it.
We had to go back in and retighten all the screws and the bolts in the building.
That was crazy times.
I think I ran
so
lights
loud
for that build or for that event too. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So the Gideons, there's a fun story. I'll never forget this. John Clausen, who's an amazing guy who comes here, he's a Gideon. And when he found out that you guys were going to be here, he was like, can we pass out Bibles? And I'm like, do you know the crowd that's going to be here? Now, the Gideons, I didn't know this. But the Gideons, when they go out to pass out Bibles, they have a requirement for a dress code where they have to have on a tie, sports coat, you know.
FBI looking.
So when my father's business came here and we put on that show, they got special permission to come without having ties and sports coats on.
That's
awesome. Just so
That was the first time. That was the very first time, at least that we know of in the history of the Gideons, that they came and passed out. And they were cool little Bibles.
Oh
too.
yeah, they're still around.
Yeah.
They're still around.
Yeah,
They'll pop up every now and then at the church.
Yeah,
but
when I told them the type of show and everything that was going on, I'm like, yeah, your suit and tie is going to make you stick out like crazy.
That's not going to be as effective as you might hope.
That was a good.
But they got on board, which was awesome, you know, and they were like, sure, you know. But
yeah, that's actually something to see. I'm starting to write all this stuff down, all my experiences. I finished the first book that I wrote. It was really just about how the Lord. It was basically the story I just told you.
Yeah.
I wrote it out. Should be released pretty soon. But I'm actually
Autobiography?
I need your permission because your name's going in the one. I'm doing the memoirs of MFB now. So.
Well, I have to read it first.
Tim Bycroft.
That's a
big
lie.
jerk.
Oh no, that was a fun show. That was a fun show.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
when you're done with it, you can come on in, then we'll record your voice for the audiobook.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that would be fun.
Actually, and you know how long that would take, though?
I don't write.
Few
I
hours.
wite it in Crayola, so it won't take that long.
Lots of
Yeah,
pictures.
I'm not the
Lots
brightest
of
guy. I told you I wasn't no good student.
It only took a few napkins, and I was done.
Good, man. So yeah, what? Before we get off here, what is the big ask that you have? You know, if there's anything that, obviously, prayer for you guys.
Yep, that's the number one thing
you
we
guys,
always ask.
You know, the spiritual warfare is real. You know, for those of us who know it, we know that it's real, and so prayer is at the forefront. I'm sure for you guys and the community and your kids but what's your big ask?
Ours, it's if you know what, team members are hard to come by. Consistent presence is tough, especially with our crowd. There's been a lot that came and they got scared away. You never see them again. And no knock to them, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
And we got a lot of mouths to feed.
But there's things that everybody can do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, if you can't be there,
Yep.
or if that's not your thing, man.
If-
Even finances.
Yeah, the support, like our
Resources.
T-shirt. We sell our T-shirts all the time. Our main goal right now. I want to build a safe place. I got that idea from you in the pantry. I'm like, man, that looks doable. Yeah. Like, I just give me a pole barn and 4 courts. I bet. and I retire soon, so we clear the streets. We do this every night,
Right.
and just just keep kids safe from the violence, and then give everyone a gospel.
That's going to happen, by the way.
We've been
Absolutely.
praying hard.
It's gonna
on that
happen.
We'll make it happen.
And that's our big thing. It's just the support, the prayer, the support, telling the story, share our story, because I mean the more people hear about stuff, that we got people reaching out, and it means a lot to us. It really is. There is really the gospel is being shared. This is eternity work, and I love doing it. So.
Well, you're doing amazing stuff, man. I share your story often.
Oh, thank you, brother.
It's making a huge impact, not only on the kingdom of God, but even in this community here. And speaks volumes what you're doing, what God's doing through you.
A lot of fun.
It is.
Never easy, always stressful, but always fun.
Right on. Right on. Well, we're glad that you were here with us at Casting Points. Thank you for checking in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. If you hit that little bell beside it, I guess you'll get a notification or something,
There you go.
right?
Yep.
Yes, you will.
Am I getting onto
You
this?
gotta smash it. You gotta say smash.
Smash that.
Getting the
thing.
hang of it.
Smash it.
Smash the like button.
All right, Matt Thornton, thank you for being here.
Love you guys.
Matt Parker, Joey Nesser behind the controls.
Yes, yes,
Appreciate
yes.
it. And we'll catch you next time.
That's it.